Hi everyone, today we're going to take a look at the best budget CPUs in the market for this year. First, we're going to show you our top 10 best picks, and we'll talk about what you look for before buying a budget CPUs. You can find links to all of the products we've mentioned in this video down in the description below. Let's get started. At the first position of our list, we have AMD Ryzen 3 2200H processor. The AMD Ryzen 3 2200G is a second-generation Ryzen processor, meaning it features an accelerated processing unit, APU. In layman's terms, that means this CPU has onboard and integrated graphics. Its integrated Vega 8 graphics are actually more than twice as powerful as the Vega 3 graphics seen on the Athlon CPU. If you're going to be using this iGPU for a little while, then this is the best value CPU. The CPU has 4 physical cores and 4 physical threads, in addition to incredible overclocking potential. It has a max boost frequency of 3.7 GHz, similarly to other CPU in the Ryzen family. The 2200G ships with an AMD Wraith Stealth cooler that provides adequate cooling at stock frequencies. It can even be used for light overclocking, though you'll have to upgrade to an aftermarket cooler for any serious overclocking. Moving on to the next at number 2 with Intel Core i3-8100, arguably one of the best performing CPU in this roundup. The Intel Core i3-8100 is a truly stupendous budget gaming CPU. It outperforms the Ryzen 3 1300X in both multi-threaded and single-threaded performance, despite both chips having 4 physical cores and 4 threads. That makes this CPU the best budget gaming CPU on the market. This CPU will couple well with a GTX 1050 Ti, and it could even be paired with a top-tier GTX 1060 without any issues. It's great for gaming in addition to some other workstation tasks, such as video editing and multitasking. For the price, it's a wonderful all-around processor. Unfortunately, nothing is perfect, and this CPU is no exception. It doesn't ship with a stock cooler from the factory, meaning you'll have to invest a bit more in an aftermarket CPU cooler. This will probably run you around $20 if you choose a standard aftermarket cooler, like the Hyper 212 EVO. That price difference makes the choice between Ryzen 3 1300X, which includes a great CPU cooler, a bit more difficult. The number 3 position is held by AMD 830XP Ryzen 3 1300X desktop processor. Much like the Intel Core i3-8100, the Ryzen 3 1300X has 4 physical cores and 4 threads. It employs AMD 14M Zen architecture, sporting a 3.5 GHz base clock and a boost clock of 3.7 GHz. This chip is great for gaming. Unlike the i3-8100, this cheap AMD processor actually includes a stock cooler in the box, and it's pretty darn good too. This will save you around $20, which is money that can be allocated elsewhere in the build. Keep in mind that this CPU does not have integrated graphics, a feature that can only be found with second-generation Ryzen chips. This shouldn't be a red flag, though, because a gaming PC should have a dedicated video card anyway. Cost-wise, Ryzen 3 CPU are better than Intel Core i3 CPU, especially when you factor in the additional $20 for an i3-8100 cooler, and the higher motherboard prices for LGA 1151 chips as well. Next at number 4, we have AMD Athlon 240G. The AMD Athlon 240G is the company's flagship budget gaming CPU. Its integrated Radeon Vega 3 graphics mean you can play low-demand games in 720 type without a dedicated GPU. While this isn't ideal, it does allow you to save up for an actual GPU while still being able to use your PC in the meantime. You'll have to be okay with playing at lower resolutions and graphical settings, but that's to be expected on a budget like this anyway. Although the chip doesn't technically support overclocking, it can be done after following a quick tutorial online. Once overclocked, the chip's performance rivals that of higher-tier CPU, even without overclocking. This CPU is among the best in its price range. The number 5 position is held by AMD Ryzen 3 1200 desktop processor. Despite providing 90% of the Ryzen 3 1300X's performance, the Ryzen 3 1200 is $30 cheaper than its big brother. In fact, when overclocked, the Ryzen 3 1200's performance is nearly the same as the 1300X's performance. I have a Ryzen 3 1200 in my rig, paired with a GTX 1063 GB. I have my CPU overclocked to 3.9 GHz and it is an absolute powerhouse. Well, not a powerhouse really, but it is certainly very capable, especially considering its low cost. Oh, and did I mention that I'm using the stock cooler? The number 6 position is dominated by AMD Ryzen 5 3606 core. AMD Ryzen 5 3600 processor is the latest high-performance desktop processor available in the market. Every gamer wants a processor that will satisfy not only their desires but also perform to the fullest. The 6-core processor from AMD comes with a brand new AMD design chip interface that has enhanced the connection between the motherboard and the processor. The interface has been enhanced further with AMD vented processor heatsink that is capable of cooling the CPU and the integrated memory cooler that take care of the integrated memory modules while the processor is working. The total cooling capacity is rated at 140 W, and this allows the system to run even without a cooling pad. All these features make the Ryzen 5 3600 as a powerful desktop processor that can easily meet your demanding needs of having a fast processor and a cool desktop PC. Moving on to the next at number 7 with Intel Core i3 10100 desktop processor. Intel Core i3 10100 is a processor made by Intel for their budget-minded customers. It is the latest addition to the range of Intel Core processors and is designed for the average PC user who does not require extreme performance but would still like high quality for their computing needs. The new Core i3 10100 is a dual-core processor featuring Intel Gen CPU architecture and a base frequency of 3.6 GHz. Coming in at only a little more than $100. This places it just in the price range of the average PC user, with plenty of room to grow in terms of performance as new and modern multi-core designs come out. The base clock speeds are steady and remain quite low, which is a good thing, as these low clock speeds can be great for overclocking and making use of overclockers tools that allow for higher core counts. The number 8 position is held by AMD Ryzen 3 3200H 4-core unlocked desktop processor. AMD new high-end AMD Ryzen processor family is built for price points that will suit just about everyone. The 3200G offers good basic performance for the casual PC user, while the other processor options will give you more options and functionality. The AMD Ryzen 3200G has 2 different speeds for each of the 3 CPU cores, allowing it to scale up to 4 CPU cores if needed. However, it only has a single core turbo multiplier for all 3 of the cores, which can limit how much you'll be able to overclock your processor. Next at number 9 we have Intel Core i5 10400 desktop processor. The new Intel Core i5 10400 is the latest and greatest little processor available for your desktop PC. It's packing quite a wallop in the performance department, and with its 6 cores, 12 threads, and 2 threads per core, you are sure to make a lot of speed gains over your current processor. If you don't mind sacrificing a bit of processing power, the Intel Core i5 10400 is an excellent option. Use this processor in conjunction with a powerful graphics card, solid-state hard drives with RAID, and high-capacity memory to get the most out of your gaming PC. If you do that, you'll be very pleased with both the speed and the performance. Finally, the number 10 position is dominated by Intel Core i7 10700K desktop processor. The Intel Core i7 10700K processor is one of the most popular choices among PC gamers. These powerful and efficient processors are great for hardcore gamers who demand the very best in performance and features when it comes to their games and video card performance. The new Intel Core i7 10700K is the first of its kind with 2 additional thermal throttle technologies that allow the processor to run at a balanced overclock frequency while keeping temperature steady. That's all for today. We upload computer and accessories product review videos every single day, so don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon for the upcoming video notification.